Arlene has told you that my first show on Broadway was The Seven Lively Arts. I was one of the 7 kids. Each of us depicted a lively art, and Cole Porter wrote the score. And I shall never forget the opening scene was a wonderful black silhouette of the George Washington Bridge, all lighted, but in this wonderful stark blue and black. And each kid came out on the stage and said, "Big town, what's before me? Fair weather or stormy? Big town, will I hit the heights and see my name in electric lights?" And then you sang your couplet, saying if you were the architect or the dancer or the singer or the poet or the musician. And then one night, Billy Rose invited all of us to come up to his office, which is in the Ziegfeld Theater, because the show was reopening the Ziegfeld Theater, and it was I guess Mr. Florence Ziegfeld's office, because you could open the windows and look right down onto the stage. And Cole played all the couplets that night. And he said, "Well, now, Dolores, do you like your couplet?" I said, "Oh, yes, Mr. Porter, very much indeed." And then he came to me a little while and he said, "Do you really like the couplet I wrote for you, Dolores?" And I said, "Well, Mr. Porter, frankly, I don't." I mean, what do you know at 17, you know? Because he was very sincere. And he said, "Well, what is it?" And I said, "Well, frankly, I portray the singer, and I have a very big singing voice, and you've written the whole song on one note." Which Cole loved to do that, you know, he loved to write, because then all his lyrics were fabulous. So anyway, he said, "Dolores, you're absolutely right, God love him," and he said, "I'm going to go home and I'm going to rewrite it." And so as everyone was leaving, Billy Rose said, "Miss Gray, I'd like you to stay behind a moment." And I thought, I'm going to get fired. I'm going to get fired for sure, because I told Mr. Porter, and he said, "Now, that was very brave of you," but he said, I think you shouldn't have." Well, I said, "I didn't know any better. I'm sorry, Mr. Rose, but he did ask me twice," and so I told him. So when the show opened in Philadelphia, there was Bert Lahr, B. Lilly, Alicia Markova, Anton Dolan, and there were all those great stars, and the show was 4.5 hours long. And this huge, enormous, 80-foot elephant could not be gotten in the state, in the back of where they put the scenery in. So halfway through the show, as I say, it was 4.5 hours long, little Billy Rose came out on the stage to tell the audience that this 80-foot elephant, they could not get in the stage door, but please be patient, and they would explain the scenery and everything. So you can imagine, after 4.5 hours, by the time they got through cutting, there was nothing left in the show for any of the kids, really. I had a song in the second act, but so I tendered my notice, and Mr. Rose came and he said, "I wish you wouldn't leave, Dolores." I said, "Well, there's really nothing for me to do." And he said, "Well, if that's the way you feel about it." So I went home, and they were going to open in about 6 days. And I had the gills so badly that I called up 2 days before the show and I said, "Mr. Rose, if it will help you, I will open and stay a few weeks." And he said, "Thank you very much, Dolores." And then, of course, I had a song that Out of Town did rather well. It was the only thing I had left in the show. It was called "Is It the Girl or Is It the Gown?" But what I didn't know is that Valentina, who was a brilliant couturier, had done the most glorious clothes for all of the showgirls. And the song was really about that, so that I'll sing part of the song and then I'll tell you what happened. I will never forget it. Oh, is it the girl or is it the gown? Which one of the two do you love? Is it her hair that makes her so fair? Is it her lips you long to caress? Or is it that exquisite dress? Now, in between, all the showgirls came on with the dances, and we're showing the gowns off. And Valentina was there with all of her friends, and every time a dress came on, the audience went like this. And so you heard about 6 bars out of the 32 that I sang. I thought my life was over. I ran upstairs, dissolved in tears, never went to the Waldorf to the party, and left the show in 2 weeks. So that is certainly not one of my fondest memories of one of Cole's songs. But is it the girl you love so dearly?